Do you think that Christians view death differently than people who are not Christians or not religious view death?
I think we should.
Okay.
But I don't think that's always the way it plays itself out.
Okay.
And so, in other words, I think we should, because we're told that we do not grieve as the world grieves. Because
I've heard that before.
Because the world grieves.
Is that a verse?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
So let me pull it up real quick.
Okay.
Because the world grieves as those who have no hope. And so I think that's in other words, that should really kind of be like the encompassing picture of how we as Christians view death, as we view death in a light of hope.
Okay.
Hope of eternity.
They get eternity too, though.
Well, this is true, but maybe not the one they wanted. Yeah. So in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, it says, verse 13, "Brothers and sisters, we do not want you to be uninformed about those who sleep in death, so that you do not grieve like the rest of mankind who have no hope. For we believe that Jesus died and rose again, and so we believe that God will bring with Jesus those who have fallen asleep in him." And so we as Christians, our perspective should be that we are grieving,
Mm-hmm.
but we're grieving with a sense of hope, a hope that death is not actually the finality of it all.
Okay.
That death actually leads to is actually like a transition point to a greater, better life than the one we have here on this earth.
That's what I keep saying.
Yeah, I know.
Everyone's like, Nate, stay. I'm like, no.
All right, you're not going to talk after this episode. But like I was with an older retired pastor recently, and he's in his mid 80s,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody asked him how he was doing, and he said, "Well, I'm okay. I've got this pain, this hurt, this thing going on." And they said, "Well, but better than the alternative." And in other words, better than being dead. And the pastor looked at him and said, "No, alternative's actually much better."
Yeah.
And so, and that's not just a remark he made. Like, he's fully, like, that's his conviction. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he's like, yeah, whenever the Lord wants me, I'm
Mm-hmm.
good. He can take me. And so
Every day wakes up like,
oh man, here we go again. And so, but I really do think that as Christians, again, we should have hope. And again, doesn't mean we don't grieve. It just, we grieve with a future in mind. And the reason I say that that's how we should grieve, or that's how we should, think about death. I don't think everyone does think of it that way, because I think there's a lot of people that think of death as more of that finality.
mm-hmm.
And they don't see the hope that's embedded there. And therefore they really struggle with it, because it seems like this, like I talk about the fact that sometimes I think that Christians have really bad theologies when it comes to death, or they've not worked out a theology of death. And so, because death is not this horrible, terrible thing, because Christ has already had the victory over death, like we read about in 1 Corinthians 15. And so instead, we should view it as, all right, we're dying, or they died, but we will see them again, and they are with Jesus. And actually say that with confidence, and not just like, I really hope that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's, and so, because it seems like death just seems like this horrible thing for, and I get it, like for everybody, it's like this horrible thing. But I guess as a Christian, what I'm saying is kind of that view of Paul that Paul has, like, to live is Christ, to die, man, that's gain, because I actually get to go be with Christ, and that's far better. And so I just think that perspective
He
is
met him,
missing.
though.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he had a vision, and yes, and actually, Jesus actually
We've never
appeared to
met him.
Okay, that could be somewhat fair, but we believe in him.
Yeah.
And so, but I'm not discounting, and we'll get to that in a little bit too. I'm not discounting the fears or those kind of things that accompany our thought processes about death. But I do think that we should have a view that is very different than those that are, let's say, like atheist or agnostic or like a nun, quote unquote, like N-O-N-E, that just doesn't believe in anything, because their view is that death comes and that's it. And our view should
Why would that be scary?
Well, for some people, it's terrifying.
It's still better than this.
So you would take nothingness over this.
I would take, I mean, if you're unconscious.
Right.
Like if you just.
So if you just cease to exist.
Then
that's better than this?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But it sucks here. We've established that.
I think we've established that this world is broken, messed up, jacked up. Yeah, we've established that.
Yeah.
Yes. But I don't think we're just like this point of like, well, just end me now. Yeah. I don't think we have to be at that point.
All right, whatever. Okay.